Uh, Sorry, I'm trying to get you on speakerphone.
Oh, okay.
There you go, pops. Um, hey, how's it going?
Good. Good. Where you at now? Denver?
Yeah, we're just hanging out in King Super's parking lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of people that we see that hang out in their cars and stuff. There's actually no really where else that we've seen that anybody has to hang out anywhere during the day if they're like in between, their jobs or groceries or errands and stuff. So it's funny we see people in this particular parking lot like all the time. So the pretty low key, low profile. There's no security that keeps tabs on every car, kicks them out after a couple hours, which we've seen at some other types of parking lots for malls and stuff. But whatever. But yeah, it's an interesting stat. There's they're just open by day, and then of course you gotta leave by night, by midnight or whatever. But you know, just a safe place to park. So it's yeah, I wish there was a giant parking lot somewhere that everyone could park for any reason at any time for any length of period of time. Like you can't even park your RV out at the truck stop rest stop over in Prospect off the interstate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's trucks only, so it's like feels like everyone is telling everyone to go to the KOA. You know,
Well, that
but
costs as much as a motel.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean it's nice. We met a friend there that had an RV and everything, and like they got hot tubs and everything. It's like, wow, that's totally not camping.
Yeah.
But no, they have places where you can actually pitch a tent. There's only 4 of them in the entire thing, and it's $48 a night. So
Wow.
we
Yeah.
we were told by some cops one time that was one of the options out there, and so we did some research and got back to him, and it was just like, yeah, I don't think that's really a viable option for homeless people or anybody for you know other than leisure. But we thought about trying to go up to like the national forest, possibly north or something like that. But just timing and just wearing the vehicle and um, you know, just being farther away from society is just kind of not easy. You know, it's kind of why we slept in our own hometown. Like, we can't just leave the city limits to sleep every night. So that was kind of a funny realization. But anyways, you know, we could chat all night. Um, but you're our parents, so we're your children. I guess there's we don't have too many options. Unfortunately, we're kind of in an interesting bind where not many other people believe us, and our sort of lifelines have been very cut short, but not totally short. So it's not like we're totally destitute. But it's one of those situations where when anything helps when things go wrong, and it's really disappointing that we've already won a lot of trials, and that a lot of people seem to think there's a still probable cause out there for these cops, and that they're not just otherwise doing pretty horrendous things. So, but that's just a philosophical battle there. But whatever, I just want to get that out there. But anyways, shoot, what do you got? What do you got, Dad? How's it going?
Good. So we've certainly given this a lot of thought. Um, um, One thing I've said a number of times is that our strong interest is in keeping you out of prison. And so our focus in helping you has always been those 2 felony cases. And now the others I've mentioned that that's your dealing. You can make your own decisions there. Um, now, I what was I going to say here? We want to continue that approach here. We want you to make your decisions about what interactions you have with law enforcement and what sting operations to do. When you do that, you need to take into account whether it's worth the trouble and the time and the gas. Are you still there?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Okay. So when you make decisions to do these things, you need to take all that into account and take the risks involved as well.
Okay, so if I may hone in on something real quick here, I think this might need to be mentioned. It's actually not really easy to get charges, at least anymore for us. The only 2 or 3 places that you can get charges would be for what we call blanket policies. Places like, or that we obviously need to sleep, and
petty
so
offense areas.
Yeah, petty offenses and so camping was the only issue, and panning was the only issue, and we've actually been through the ringer with all of our cases with panning enough that we have spots that we've been able to reclaim from stupid cops. That it's not the type of issue that how would I put this? The type, when you talk about stings, nobody puts up a fence every day, and nobody does anything about it. And that was also during a period at which the city was also kind of showing me that they not, as an entire city, wasn't working right with the Occupy Jefferson. When it came to just writing correct tickets, just literally, using your maps and tools and everything like that. So we were pretty, hot on the investigation. And so, the investigation's kind of closed. It's been closed for a while. We haven't found any new interesting ways to sting cops, and we're not really interested. And we never were. And, the only reason I did the fence was because it was way too many reasons to do it and not enough reasons not to.
Technically.
And it's one of the few decisions out there where it looks like a choice that it's going to be a bad choice. But so far, you can't really say it's a bad choice because I haven't made it to court, whether it's be guilty or not. And so there's a lot of prejudgments, I think, a lot of rush judgments for a lot of things. And, I thought maybe that some of my other cases that I could use as statistics because, honestly, I've won so many of them. It's just ridiculous. And so it's not that I've purposely gotten any of these cases. It's that there's a kind of a black hole that anybody gets into when they get homeless and there's nowhere else to sleep or get resources. And so I don't know. Hold on a second. We're just trying to get Mr. Buddy on here. Mr. Buddy. It's kind of loud and obnoxious. But wow, I just think that there's a whole lot of misinformation about how the law works and how easy it is to get charges and or how easy it is or hard it is for me to decide to put myself in harm's way possibly or that I'm on some vendetta to exercise rights that that I just sticking up for the small guy, maybe a Robin Hood theory in there, who knows? Lately, I'm literally just in the same boat as what I've ever been for a decade. I'm just trying to get, time for paperwork, and the time was basically, resource-wise, not enough at the shelters and the food banks, and with lawyers, I don't have enough to pay them, so I just have to do it myself. And so it's just basically. There aren't any new cases, and the rate at which we've gotten cases is significantly reduced in frequency, And so I just, it's just amazing that you guys think that it's like, that it's this tough decision, and that I actually, it's so easy for me to choose to like throw my life away, when I knew I was out on bond, and it's these felonies, and the only reason why it looks like felonies and you guys are freaking out is because literally stupid cops are literally hiding that they're stupid. And they fooled everybody, including you guys. And that the fooling is to a level where nobody's freaking out except for me and David. And by the way, outside cops, when we talk to other cops outside the jurisdictions, we get different inputs. And we also have other internal affairs looking at other cases of other jurisdictions. And we have other cops able to say, no, I personally wouldn't write that ticket. And so it's whatever. It's like I just it was a very rare occasion. I haven't found any other places, and I'm not looking for them right now. I never was. But that was just one of those things where 3 weeks go by. This fence, it looks really obvious, and our knowledge of right-of-way law was such that it took we were already talking with Rob with the other cases, so we went down there and just, what do you know? It's totally blatantly illegal. And then, it's just, I didn't anticipate and plan and try and like purposely get arrested that night. I didn't go out there actually with something of the type of knowledge that is like hard to understand for cops, that I like accidentally like was within the crossfires of good cops trying to figure out, and they honestly think it's 460. No, these people are actually maliciously, intentionally bad cops. And we've caught them before, and they're all the same, at least the ones that are willing to be that way. We only have a list of the stupid ones. We have a couple good ones, too. But basically, I went out there with the intentions of pulling what we call a dean or something otherwise, which is where a smart cop realizes that he has to do his job. And a dumb cop, if he can't do his job right, I got nothing to worry about. A dumb cop not doing his job, that's going to naturally fall through, and that's what's happened with every other case. And so, I'm not out there to, basically weigh people's help of against my willingness to be some sort of martyr to myself as a stinger. Sorry, stings don't work like that. So I just got to throw that out there. I'm really sorry. Anyways.
Okay. So that's your business. I'm not going to discuss the merits of the cases. I just know that they aren't battles that I personally would fight were I in your position. You and I are different. I would have put a very high priority on staying employed.
Okay. By fighting, I had a case where I had to explain that my brother and I got fined, just the two of us, in a 5 unrelated case where the other people involved were the ones that called it in. And so they were the ones that were causing us to get artificially increased fines. So while we're just simply exercising eviction rights, we went through a situation where we had to fill this out because stupid cops didn't know how to handle eviction law side by side with their law of the 3 unrelated rule. And so the 3 unrelated rule cop came around, and basically our decision to put together that paperwork was, guess what, Dad? It was our own, because in civil court with Fort Collins Code, you don't get a public defender. So we had to do it ourselves. And it was a weird case, and we tried talking to other people. I legitimately tried. A lot of lawyers, they were like, can't help you. I lost my job because I got sick, because I was trying to spend the 1 hour I had every single day to go talk to lawyers for my lunch break. And basically, if you're telling me that you would drop that case and just or drop the defending of yourself and just, I guess, go to court and or plead out, and what would you plead out for? And how would you solve that problem of putting together that paperwork? Or would you just leave instead of exercising your eviction rights?
Let me speak. I can fill all the holes in this. Okay. The 3 unrelated rule. We were in that basement. there was 2 months after my unemployment ran out at Center Partners. And so unemployment runs out. I'm still trying to get my paperwork together. You don't understand that it's not supposed to end up like this. When somebody or a household, case laws, the 3 unrelated rule, guess what the first step does? He comes out and he notifies the house, and basically, usually everyone leaves and no one ends up getting fines. And so, basically, when we saw that our roommates were getting away with it, that was on the side. We were technically enforcing eviction rights, which happened, which I had a right. And the reason why is because it was the end of winter and I had nowhere to go with my stuff when Belcher evicted me. I didn't have money for a storage unit. I didn't have money for that, but it doesn't matter because they weren't supposed to be going down that path. Eviction gives you a time frame that you leave within a certain time frame and you don't get the eviction because it's your right to not be immediately booted. And basically, at the very end, we even had to stay at Lester's place because it was still too cold. And I remember, again, like every scenario, I asked for a place to stay at home, and I guess that's a law or right that you're always going to enforce for some reason. That I think that in a normal scenario, not letting your kid move back home is perfectly fine. But when it's a legal scenario and he has nowhere else, that's a different scenario. And so, yeah, we had nowhere else, and I remember, like I always do, asked to move back home. You didn't let me. The spiel of you got to be on your own. And then, bam, I can't pay rent. Belcher evicts us because he thinks we're stealing. And then the cops come in, sue us out. William's trying to fix it, and he gets a hernia. He's puking for 3 weeks. He almost went to the ER. You didn't see that down in that basement. And so they don't understand eviction law either. And so, yeah, we had to put that together in 2 months to defend ourselves in that case. And
we were also kind of
behind.
behind.
We were in CSU area, and we had nowhere else to go because, let's face it, the homeless shelter does not give us what we need. It's a private religious institution.
It was like a place to type, and it was actually not even that case. It was catching up on what we called our double brother statement, basically all the previous crimes that were always pushed off because of another crime. And not so much pushed off because of another crime, but pushed off because we were always forced to work at least something for rent and food. So we, at the end of the day, didn't have enough time to put together enough paperwork, even with the job. And so I'm sorry. The reason why I wanted to say all this is because from there, we're putting together paperwork. We're trying to get back on our feet. Once the paperwork was done and the trials dropped, we were already moved along, and so we already had other cases that were literally already starting to require us to find just simply places to sleep, to hide. We were always hiding initially, and we would get a ticket, and then we fought everything later, but basically we had to keep finding places to hide. And that's not intentionally trying to get any tickets or anything like that. And so it's kind of just every ticket grants its own defense that we have to put together. So letting go and taking pleas for any of these, especially for charges that are completely, totally trumped up.
Especially
I already have
for
a couple
ones that I won that they told me to plead guilty of.
Yeah, and I already have a couple of that are on my record wrongfully. So, like, my chances of getting a good job are that much worse now. Lovely, just after I clean up my record or whatever, 10 years. And so, this whole, dropping things to get jobs, it's not so easy when you don't have anything else but your rights to exercise. So, it's just, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to, hijack that. Or I don't know where you're going with that, but I think you guys are really terribly mistaken with how things actually happen on a day-to-day basis with people with real paperwork in the United States justice system that I think Mormons have historically wanted very little to do with, and they don't understand very much at all about how it actually works. And I got a public defender, and I got screwed 12 years ago as a result.
Okay, I hadn't kept in mind the three unrelated. That's a battle I would have thought. I was thinking more of things more recent than that.
Okay. Sorry.
The whole reason why we say that is the battle that you would pick, that we picked, easy three unrelated rule, led to another, led to another, led to another, led to another. That were all battles that were worth fighting, and the fence was the only one. Because if you didn't, you just don't see it like we do. It's a complete slam dunk. It's so stupid. It's like every other case, and so it just doesn't come along. And like I said, it's public right away. He shouldn't have been arrested, so we shouldn't be having this conversation. It sounds weird because he actually is charged. That's called police misconduct. I don't know how else to say it.
Well, I'll let you. At this point, we won't be giving you money. You're going to have to make the decisions on your own of how you interact with law enforcement and any other things here.
Okay, so I got a really good question for you, Dad.
Based on your means and such. You're 30 and 28 years old. You're going to have to figure these things out on your own without any financial backing of your parents for these types of things. Now, we can certainly help with medical.
This was for the attempted influence. This wasn't the fence.
Okay, Dad, I got a really big question for you. I've been trying to get this off my chest. I didn't really think I'd actually have to ask this question, but minus the stealing 12 years ago and basically taking into account this big stretch of zero anything for the last decade, and just accounting for from the three unrelated rule forward, any interactions that I've had with law enforcement, do you believe that I am 0% at fault, 100% at fault, or somewhere in the middle? Do you believe that these cops have what basically we call probable cause or legal justification, or do you believe or understand if they have 0% lawful justification? Like literally, like if I were to be kidnapped by a non-law enforcement person and like held against my will, you know, like in a closet or something like that.
Okay, I'm not going to answer that, but I am going to say that I would not try and put a park ranger under citizen's arrest or threaten him.
Okay, so
would I jump a fence on a sting operation and many of the other things that you've done that have put you in trouble. They're just battles that I wouldn't fight.
Okay. Go over the other ones that because those are that's very vague. Minus those two. So taking out the citizen's arrest, which we can go over in a second, and taking out a sting, which we can go over later, whatever. What other things are you actually talking about? I really am curious.
What other criminal things have we done?
Yeah, what other?
Ones?
I mean,
I'm not saying you're done criminal.
Interaction-wise,
if I were in your position, I would be working extremely hard to get a job so that I'm not having to run the risk of having to handle all sorts of legal things, just because that's a battle I don't think is worth fighting.
These aren't we are not attorneys suing as a profession. The fence and attempting to influence is exactly like the other cases. They came out of nowhere.
Okay, so Dad,
anyway,
you need to understand a couple things. Okay. The only reason why you're even talking about why you wouldn't do something like a citizen's arrest for a ranger is because you are seeing the effect of it going wrong when cops don't do things like simply their job. And no, I'm sorry, Dad. You will never frame me and victimize and victim shame me for officers of the law literally upholding nothing. Literally sludge. And they're taking your money and you're defending them now.
Dad, we had a homeless person, and we've heard, and I've seen many YouTube videos. You can Google this. You can citizens arrest a police officer, a ranger, anyone in this country for really easy, obvious crap. And a homeless friend of mine saw a police officer on a bike that didn't use his hand signal, which is against the law, technically, a blinker, and he actually pulled him over and used his ticket book and wrote him a ticket, and he couldn't do anything about that. That's called a citizen's right in this country, and I feel like you're saying that we are stupid and or we did it wrong and we're inexperienced or don't know law, when it's actually incredibly simple. And what is happening is we never actually even follow through with it, so you can't even say it was a citizen's arrest. Some person is now just trumping up some attempted influence charges, and to be completely honest, if you didn't go down to the police station or look at anything of it, then
Hey, Dad, I got a really, really good question for you. I'm so glad we're finally getting to this point. I really think we need to talk about this because this is what everyone else has been trying to talk to me about. Okay, so you say that you wouldn't go citizens arrest a ranger, right?
Correct.
Do you know what I citizens arrested or attempted to this ranger over?
William, all I'm doing is...
Do you know which tell me, Dad.
That's an
tell
important
me.
thing.
That's a very
Please
important
answer
thing.
that.
I just want to know. Have I told you what I did it over?
What did William citizens arrest Mike West over?
The first time.
Oh, you have... Tell me what it is. Go ahead.
No,
I'm asking you.
Tell us what it is.
I have the police report. I read through it.
Okay, the police report of which incident?
The first one.
What incident? Name it.
This is the
what park is it?
Is this the
I'm sorry, I don't
is this the
recall.
soft is this the Soft Gold Park incident?
It talks about the threats you made to the ranger.
Is it when we were getting a camping ticket written to us in Lee Martinez Park? Is it that police report?
I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've read through it.
Is it the one that's signed by us? That's a good way to identify.
Yeah, we had a witness statement that we put in for this event. Did you ever read our witness reports?
The second event, we did not sign anything other than our ticket. The third event, there was no signatures of ours. The first event is the one with the signature. Is it the affidavit that has our name on it in Soft Gold Park?
Handwritten by us. There's 2 affidavits that would have been included with this police report. Did you read our affidavits or this police report?
Okay, we need to take a time out here. I don't believe it's the one that you wrote. Okay, I'm going off what the policeman wrote up.
Yeah, that's exactly the problem.
That's an attempting to influence charge, and it literally worked.
It literally worked, man.
You didn't even read the original incident that was from.
Do you know? You don't even know why I tried to citizen's arrest Mike West. You don't even know the statute I did it over. You don't even know anything, man.
Oh man, that's the literal police report that we're using in our lawsuit as a false document for recording, which is a felony for the person who submitted that because it's not referring to our original one. So guess what? The thing of submitting fake crap in court, it actually worked on you because it attempted to influence you, and it worked because you actually think Will's guilty because of what he did in the park, when actually it was the original incident that we were sitting in a park, not even camping, not even breaking any statute. That was the first event.
And we were the first ones to write any paperwork about anything, and then cops get involved, police report, and so forth. And that was a completely different event. That this is kind of the reason why I just need a bunch of money to write this crap down.
That was actually literally what he was going to literally write down with all the other evidence and submit it in 5 days from now in the deadline for the attempting to influence. But we're routed because no one believes us, and we're having conversations at the very end.
And the whole point is that I could...
I told you based on my knowledge of the situation
okay.
how I would do it.
Yeah, your knowledge of the
I don't think
situation is
it's-
incomplete, and you just made a rush judgment, and you're a kangaroo court, and that's statistics fraud, and it's illegal.
That's actually the very reason why we're in this boat, is because literally every single person has came to a rush judgment without letting us speak it out with the evidence that we have. Now we have to dig through all this defamation, which is just literally another wasted amount of time trying to dig through other people's crap that they piled on us. That
Because they don't understand the difference between conditional and unconditional. And I understand that we may have past issues with trust, but there comes a point where, like I said, someone's going to knock on your door, and, they may be so beaten up that they can't talk. And you're not going to be able to ask why they are beaten up, but are you going to turn them down?
I guess it's the Jesus thing.
So,
The main man, they
it's
were
really
looking for a
disappointing
name.
that you would say you wouldn't do something like that when you haven't even gotten the entire story. You haven't even heard it from me. I haven't even written it down for anybody. It's all in my mind. Actually, David's my only witness. And so you are literally in the exact same boat as everybody else. You all just lynched me over stuff, and I'm literally being blamed for everybody else's crimes all the time. Those 3 people that got away with the 300 lateral gets blamed on me.
Lynched.
Mike West not doing his literally. It's
We
not even
let
Mike
him-
West. It's actually Wes Haynes who took that call when we called in to Softco Park, who took it incorrectly for his police work, his police paperwork to be misinterpreted by other people. These are very not professional people that there is no way on earth that you could have known if you would do this or not, if you were in our position, with the lack of information that we had about how incredibly intellectually dishonest these people are. We did not know that at the time, and we had to find out the hard way.
Hey,
and we had to find out.
We expect our police officers and doctors and any professional to actually be acting professional. So you can never get after us when, say, a cop just tries to do an upskirt to a girl or something. You can never blame that on the girl. And so we were in the forest and we were following protocol. It's not hard. We just look up their handbooks of what they need to do, and they're not following it, and then everyone gets blamed that we're this big criminal when it was actually, honestly, a guy that should be fired, for basically harassing people. You can commit crimes too as a ranger, as a cop or a policy violation, not even crimes, and be fired over it because it ends up in situations like this.
And I don't know. I want to say this just real quick to get it over with, but you say you may not do that, but that's probably one of the reasons why I don't consider Mormons to be particularly patriotic to this country. Because in the position that I was in and the type of politics going on, I was able to recognize what I believed to be a harassment charge. And if you actually go read the actual harassment statute, it fits. And it was actually a very small misdemeanor charge that was bias motivated. And the reason why no one will touch this is because of that bias. No one wants to say it. And that's exactly why I'm going to court.
Because if so, everyone has federal funding and you're not allowed to discriminate on race, color, sex, national origin, or any other protected status.
And
that's basically what these people did.
And we were in the middle of the park in the middle of the day, and the way we were treated was more criminal than anything else I have ever seen. And I wasn't doing it for myself. I was doing it for my brother. But nobody will ever touch this because nobody wants to address the elephant in the room, which is
homeless crime.
Discrimination. It happens. It's happening right now, and it's going to keep happening until everybody stops denying it. And so you say you wouldn't write that ticket?
I personally would, to stop homeless discrimination, because guess what? We wouldn't be asking our parents for money if he wasn't harassing homeless people to cause this in the first place. So who's really at fault, I think, is the guy that just simply needs to be fired for wasting everyone's time, and I guess.
I hate to say this, but it looks like, not that I was trying to prove a point, but if there really are bad, homeless, discriminating, lying type of cops out there, I think it needed to be found out. And what do you know? It just took a tiny little misdemeanor citizen's arrest to see what these people are willing to do, and you
They
think it's so
actually proved their
complicated
case.
when it's actually...
Which proved our case, technically.
Yep. Wait, Dad, you don't understand. It's actually really, really easy to write down for a judge. These people think that no one's watching, and we're the ones that they're shuffling through their courts. We're literally being kidnapped live, and we can write every single thing down, and we've done it in the past for every single one of our other cases. And when real people look at it, judges, they drop it. And so when you say you personally wouldn't do that, like, wow, you don't have all the information, you come from an entirely different background, of course you wouldn't. You don't deal with real problems like other people do at this type of level, financially and religiously. I'm sorry, Dad, but Mormons are not very, they don't keep up with the politics outside of their faith. And there's a lot of other stuff going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of other stuff
Fort
going
Collins.
on in Fort Collins that I don't think that you know about.
That you're in the same boat as them. You're in denial over it. You think the food bank is a viable solution. Have you ever been there twice a week for the last couple months to see what they actually cycle out?
Hey, we even did it when we had the van, and I remember wasting about 4 times in a row when there was not enough stuff.
Yeah, we just came on the wrong day. But anyways, I'm really sorry. I don't mean to have this kind of attitude, but I think
I thought you might be interested in what I would do if it were me, but I guess I said what I've said, and I still, except for the 3 unrelated, yes, that was a battle that I would fight, but the rest of them, I would be taking a different stance.
Okay.
I would be working hard to get employed again.
Okay, Dad, I got a really good question
there's
for
the
you.
proof. There's the proof. I gotta say this. There is no statistical link to not having a job and no income to equaling this problem. All these tickets, technically on a constitutional level, should have never happened, and it's just a poor community. We're just all hanging out here at the bottom, just poor. And so the income on a technical level is not the reason why these happen.
Okay, well,
Okay, Dad. Okay, I really got to say is this is extremely important. Okay, when you say that you won't help me out because of the attempting to influence charge, you're telling me that because you wouldn't do it, the thing that you think caused this to happen, of citizens arresting a ranger, that you wouldn't do the same thing. Let me just double check that. You would not citizens arrest a ranger.
no, I would not.
Okay. Citizens arresting a ranger is not what caused this to happen.
I wouldn't threaten the ranger either.
When and how, which was this threat? What do you mean by threat?
Yeah. Seriously, that's what
Well,
he's...
what the police say what they wrote down and what they said they had a backup of recording the conversation.
Have you actually heard that conversation?
Well,
Have you read the actual threat? Tell me what the threat
The
is.
whole point is William's been narrowing it down for this case, and it is about a threat, right? Yeah. And so William's about to file this thing that we're actually talking about right now. And so when it comes to a threat, this is pretty serious. You need to... What threat?
Well,
Oh, okay.
Like-
All right. No, sorry. I got to rephrase this question because this is really this is honestly, Dad. This is what I'm trying to get at. There are bite model behavior modifications that people do to other people because they don't want to encourage that type of behavior, and so you would not want to encourage somebody going around and citizens arresting a ranger, and so you have to teach that lesson, right? Is that kind of how I'm getting it? It's a instead of a attitude adjustment, it's a behavior modification. Basically,
It's obvious.
you have to tell me that
citizens arrest because it caused all this crap.
Yeah, and that basically that this was a bad choice on my own, and that I have to sort of own up to my own bad choices to see if and get the full math of the full brunt of it being a bad choice.
concerned about the felonies. We're not quite sure what to do at this point.
Hey, Dad. Real important question. Do you think that the police report? I know what police report. I've read it too. Do you think what you're reading, what you're describing, that you said now 2 or 3 times, do you think that's a lie? Do you think that cop that's completely 100% accurate truth, or do you think that's a 100% lie?
I do not know. I just know that I would not be saying those things.
That's the thing is you just now claim that as fact. You read it and you're saying you wouldn't do that. You're saying that what that cop wrote is fact. Is that fact what's on that paper, Dad? Or is that a lie? Seriously.
Oh my gosh, I see what David's saying. Hey, Dad, this is what David's trying to say. You say you wouldn't do what you think the cops wrote in that paperwork, right? That's the whole point, is that you're going off of what the cops wrote, and you think you're correct. And you think the cops are correct enough for you to base a decision off of, when that is literally what I'm going to court over.
What we're saying is that event never happened. When you say, it sounds so strange. When you tell Will that I personally wouldn't do it because that's what he did, that's what we're saying. That didn't happen at all. That's what a framing is. Frame that this person assaulted, did this, and then now everyone believes it. And that person's like, yeah, I just gave him a water bottle or something. I don't know. That's a bad example. But, yeah.
Okay.
Literally...
I know there are facts that can be established in that police report that we can agree on. Like I said, certain things like the ultimatum, or what they call an ultimatum, of quitting your job, saving your life. If you don't quit your job, you'll lose your job. The 3-part, it's a non-sequitur, non-ultimatum. It's like a fake threat. And I will agree that is a fact in there. But guess what, Dad? That doesn't fit the elements of anything at all. And that is literally, when you say you wouldn't do that, it's called freedom of freaking speech. And I'm literally having it chilled right now. And it's disturbing that you would stick up for people instead of your own son when the battle's already started, man.
Hey, Dad, the phrase that was violent that everyone is contending over is, hey, man, you're quit your job, you're digging yourself a grave, save your life, along those lines. I'm pretty sure everyone has heard the phrase, you're digging yourself a grave. And that's what he took literally, and that's what you're believing on that paper. And
by the way, I didn't even say...
That's a figure of speech.
I actually didn't even say digging himself a grave in front of Mike West at all. I was just talking about him to a different officer during a protest, because I'm explaining how they can't write their tickets correctly, hence the concept of you should probably quit your job, like, save your life.
You can't feel threatened when someone else tells someone of a figure of speech. And the whole point is it doesn't even fit attempting to influence.
Okay.
Have you actually read the elements of attempting to influence?
I got it, Dad. I got it. Here's what's happening. I got into a car accident, and it is you are unable to determine if it is my fault or not my fault, and you don't want to possibly help me out with the damages if it's not my fault, or if it is my fault. The whole point is a car accident is more obvious. What you don't understand is everything that these cops are doing is the bureaucratic equivalent to a car accident.
A black and white
where
scenario.
They're running into me. They're literally running into me out of nowhere, deciding that if they do it right enough, well enough, it might look like it's my fault. And guess what? It worked. It looks like it's all my fault. And now they even convinced you. And it's disgusting.
How long have you had that police report, Dad?
A while.
How long is a while?
I don't know. Yeah.
A couple months?
6 months? I mean, it happened in
Months.
a couple months. Like, it happened a year ago. It kind of rolled out into the cases. So you've had that police report for a couple months. Okay.
I don't know. Yeah. Can we have a pause
So
here?
that's why you weren't getting help this whole time.
Yeah.
It's because their attempting to influence charge worked.
It actually worked. Hey, hey, Dad. The whole point of unconditional help. The whole point of unconditional help is defamation.
I need to have a pause to talk to your mother on mute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll get back to you in a second here.
Sure, thank you.
Gotta hear her. Hello?
No, they put us on mute.
Yeah, you're on mute.
Oh, okay.
We're on mute too. Yeah. It's too much time. Oh man. This is why police shouldn't falsify reports.
Our parents. Is that muted?
Yeah, it's muted.
So they bought the actual lie.
I don't know what else
And
to
we
say,
are
man.
not getting help for the very case that we're now about to be framed over. I hate to say it, but our own parents believed the actual fraud and lied police report. That's why they didn't help us.
It's not the full story, man. And the whole point is that you're not. The definition of helping somebody or not is kind of a big call. That's kind of like your court as a person on whether you decide to help someone. or not.
Yeah, that's a big one. Sure.
Usually, one would get more facts and evidence and data and
Okay, you there?
before they make judgments.
Hello?
Hello?
Yep. Sorry, we're here.
Okay. It wasn't my intention to get into this. I shared with you, based on my understanding, what I would do. Let's leave it at that. I don't know all the facts of the case. From what I do understand, though, I shared with you what I would do given those situations. The upshot out of all this, though, is that financially you're on your own as far as how to get yourself out of the difficulties that you're in. And you need to go forward in your decisions and what you do, knowing that there's not going to be a financial backup of your parents. Okay?
Okay, I understand you there. I have one final question. These situations, fence, attempting to influence, even camping tickets, panhandling tickets, and we'll throw in the 3 unrelated rule. All aside, 3 people 12 years ago, while I illegally wrote them checks, they didn't give me the money. And I've been figuring out how to get that legally situated ever since. And that's 3 people that I reported that they had basically lied to the DA as to be victims. And everything got pushed off into a confusing restitution request, possibly. But if I go to trial, I'm going to lose, / I'm confused about what my rights are. Public defender tells me just to plead. Turns out the restitution order was already filled out. And then by the time I started my life at 18 and a half, I owed $25,000. These 3 people who stole from me, technically speaking, is what I'm really, really, truly, truly asking for. To get that help figured out. All these other cases are tiny. They don't even matter.
Actually, for the reason why we led into this, that was always the
Yeah,
original
literally,
case
that's the only
was
reason
Blair.
why we even fight for them, is because they're all linked to the prior cases that led up to them, and all those led from that one, from those 3 people. So regardless of me going into it with my not knowledge or the crimes I committed, these 3 people committed crimes against me, and I've been asking, technically, for help for that ever since. And so, are you going to turn me down? Because I don't need $500 for that. I just need whatever it takes for that. These trespassing cases, the attempted influence, it's all on the side.
Since it helps you, you won't get help.
Yeah, technically, it's all the same in time wise. I mean, I have to. okay, let me get through these cases first, and then maybe I'll go back to asking you for help for the 3 other people? When these...
Technically, we'll throw back the original one.
Will's
one person.
So the whole point is these 3 people, man, they committed a crime against me. It's a really obvious one. It's like a car accident. And I've been just trying to get help ever since. And I know exactly what I need to do. I just need the time to put together the paperwork. There's not even a question about what to do. And so I'm asking you guys now for that help.
I still don't understand why you didn't follow up on that restitution process. I remember a number of times that I reminded you and encouraged you to use that as the vehicle, and I never remember you taking advantage of that.
Oh, wait, what?
Okay, I don't recall specifically you pushing it. I only remember having a restitution order pushed, and at the same time, I was being convinced by people around me, everybody that I could remember, to plead guilty to the checks because I wrote them. And naturally, as it followed, it was a battle to actually not pursue the restitution because that's what everybody else had convinced me already to do. So my public defender included had me convinced to plead guilty because I wrote the checks, even though I didn't actually get the money. And that's why I didn't request the restitution hearing, and that's why I didn't even look into it for 4 years, because I actually thought I needed to pay that extra money. I wanted to. I was actually thrilled that it was only $25,000 at one point. And so you tell me.
I remember encouraging you to go talk to figure out that restitution process, because I felt that was your after the fact that was your best avenue to pursue. I don't know at this point if your ability to pursue it this late would have much of a chance.
There is no statute of limitations for judicial misconduct. That's what Lester told us, and he's won 4 Supreme Court lawsuits.
I don't think you know this, but it doesn't really matter about the 3 people. I reported these crimes to the judge, and the fact that they even said restitution in the first place was a pushing off of their responsibilities to reinvestigate these people as co-conspirators. And look, it worked, because now you guys are stuck with the best avenue being a restitution hearing, when that's actually not the best avenue. That'll never be the best avenue, because that means that these people get away with not redoing their investigation. And unless we actually attack that and go towards the actual DA and the judge that didn't do their jobs right, no one else is going to investigate it, that these 3 people basically lied to them with their witness statements.
When you say we don't have a chance, Judge Blair was already disbarred for withholding evidence in Timothy Masters' case and other judicial misconduct and fraud. We actually ran into someone on the streets who is for... I forgot the name, but she gave me the Facebook post for it that researches judicial fraud. We told them our case, and basically when we couldn't come back around it, when she ran back into me downtown, I remember she getting really pissed at me because, hey man, I thought you were in this situation. It's like, yeah, we're being witness tampered. We're still trying to figure it out. So
I reported crimes, and these people committed crimes against me. Now, Blair is the one who hit me with a car, a bus. I need help dealing with her. This isn't something that I would like. No, this is not something that I would appreciate if you. I can see how you would potentially be trying to bite model now that. I gave up my rights by not pursuing the restitution hearing or something like that. When You are not a lawyer, Dad, and I haven't even written this down for a lawyer yet. And I'm asking for help to put together the paperwork so I could have experts look at it so that they don't have to make decisions like you that I believe are uninformed.
Also, it's so that we don't have to ultimately waste all the money. There's going to cost a little bit of just paperwork and time.
Just to get the affidavit
file
out.
it in, and when they deny it, they just say it wasn't a claim for whatever, and then we can all move on.
So are you telling me that my claim will be denied before I even write it out?
No, I didn't say that. I'm just wondering.
Well, I have a claim that I need help. I have a claim against the judge that I need help writing down. That's ultimately what it is. That's literally what it is.
Technically, I told Lawrence, and I was helping William back then, but pill side effects are extremely bad. Took a lot of time out of my day. Also, I wasn't as educated back then, and we were still connecting the dots as we always were. It's not like it's falling apart. It's just we just didn't have the raw resources to do the basic procedure in the beginning.
So,
okay, well,
keep it.
If you want, I would encourage you to go talk to a lawyer in this area to see whether he thinks the case is still viable.
Hey, hey, Dad, I got a really good question for you. Do you know how? Do you have an idea for how many lawyers I've talked to over what cases?
Well, I trust a lawyer who's worked in this area.
Hey, Dad.
For being able to assess viability.
Hey, Dad.
He was represented by a lawyer here.
I have been told by lawyers that they can't touch it because it's not their expertise. And I've been unable to find an attorney who has been able to give me a different answer.
It's not that we're giving up and we're being babies. It's that we can't find the attorney that actually has what you see under their name that represents this issue. And they're definitely not in this town. We've even had to go to Boulder. That's what Timothy Masters. He had to go to Boulder. We even went to that attorney. He couldn't even take that because it included even more fraud than just his case. It's crazy.
So I'm trying to put together paperwork so I can post it to pretty much every attorney / just go file it in court as my own attorney, because I don't think that I need to be trusting every attorney that I go to that is just telling me I don't have a chance, basically. When David had that happen to him, and he won literally a case.
Would have been in jail, and it was fought on 2 grounds: vagueness and, again, no map.
And so that was a very good situation where an attorney gave extremely bad legal advice.
They were just telling me, yeah, man, you're just homeless.
So Dave and I actually thought about this. We actually already covered this stat, and you guys are statistically frauded when it comes to your trust and reputation in the U.S. justice system, particularly like, in this case, lawyers. You think attorneys are... Dude, Dad, I had an attorney falsely represent me, Tom Martin, with this attempted influence case before he got taken back off, who looked at the trespassing case and literally didn't see a thing. Did not see... he didn't look at the email. He didn't go talk to Rob. He literally didn't look. Property. He didn't look at step 1.
A map.
It is attorney fraud that is on our complaint as well, technically speaking. And I was represented back in the day with the public defender.
Your mom and I need to talk again. Okay, give us a few minutes, please.
Please, thank you.
I'm running out of penny time.
Put it this way. I've never gotten this far with him. It's almost over. We're trying to get to the brass tacks of what's really the help I need. And since
okay, I think we can just sum it up by saying I'm not sure we'll come to a meeting of the minds here. The main thing of the phone call was just to let you know that the money won't be there.
Cool.
On the other hand, we do have a couple of gift cards that we were going to give you for Christmas. They're $100 apiece. If you feel like you'd like to take that to help you out, we'll be glad to give you those.
Dad, I don't know how else to explain this, but over 100 people have committed over 1,000 crimes against us, many of which are felonies, all of which have gone completely unchecked and unreported and even literally to the point where we are literally being kidnapped by you guys now because you can't understand law well enough to see that all of these people are committing crimes against us.
And they need to be arrested.
They're very obvious crimes, and it's a very large crime that's going on with ultimately the police force in general. We're not supposed to be able to get these many tickets and have them dropped, just strings of them. These are literally crimes against humanity that we are reporting, that we are being retaliated against for whistleblowing on. So it's not technically speaking the Blair. It's not technically the 3 unrelated rule. It's not the camping tickets. It's a judicial system that is very bad at its job right now, and we're very good at catching it. And so far, we're the only ones that technically figured it out. We're the only ones that has this clean of a record for this many tickets. And so it's a travesty. It really is truly disappointing that I thought in my 30 years that I could get enough information across about how the law works, because I'm the one who's in it, by the way, and I'm not completely clueless. And I thought maybe I could get a little bit more help from my parents after trying to explain it. So, technically speaking, you're on the same complaint as them. You don't understand the gravity of the situation, that there are very, 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 very bad cops out there that are running free because of people like you.
Because we can't get...
Who don't want to lift a finger, don't have any civil duty. It is treason. And I refuse to have anything to do with it. And that's why I refuse to accept your petty excuse for help.
Okay, I hope you keep in mind that we have given you lots of help in the past.
Hey, do you realize that I was cherry? I was actually sugarcoating it because you guys are so hard to convince. That wasn't even the full help. That literally was Band-Aids, and that's actually technically why we're in this boat even worse. So, no, you haven't helped us because you couldn't see at the time that it wasn't just a van that we needed. We needed a couple of weeks. We needed some paperwork. That's it for the 3 unrelated rule. So you helped me out with $200 back in the day. Yeah, guess what? You only helped me out because a homeless shelter kicked me out after being there for too long because my problems were too big. And so every single time you tell me that you've helped me out, you have not. And not in any meaningful way, not in any useful way.
Not in a legal way.
Not in a legal way. It's a statistically frauded way. It's about on par with the comment that Jesse made one day about how the $300 that they gave earlier, like that, look how bad it was, it didn't go to anything, or however that comment was. It was literally like, see what I mean? We knew it wouldn't work. And that's because you guys are statistically frauded. You will never get this.
Okay,
and so,
please.
Go on, please, live your life. We needed to have this conversation so we could move on. Because we're just trying to go and have relationships with reasonable people. And so far what we've explained to you guys with the amount of cops and the types of battles and so forth and so on, you guys have definitely chosen your side, and you want nothing to do with anything, whether it be us or civic duty. And so I'm going to put that, personally, me, on the most criminal level in the universe. It is treason. You are literally failing to report crimes. You have a duty in this world to do something when crimes happen. And if you don't believe that, if you don't see that, if you don't understand that, if your Mormon faith doesn't integrate that, welcome to the United States of America.
You'll be charged under constitutional law.
You're going to be charged under constitutional law for racketeering and effectively the same crimes that we're charging everybody else with. It's
not get us help. It's just gonna kidnap us longer. It's not just you. It's every institution everywhere we went has frauded us and gave us the finger with a bunch of vague hot air excuses. And now we're medically
lessons
neglected. It's a medical malpractice lawsuit ultimately in the end, and it's going to cost the city of Fort Collins a lot of money.
And it comes down to information and spiritual battles. And what you guys don't get is that we get a totally different answer from other people. If Lester was still here, we would be asking him for help, and he might be able to help us. We had to explain 100th less to get help from him, and he is a lawyer, a very reasonable person, filed lawsuits in federal court.
One of an expert on this issue, and he trained us on what we need to be doing, and it works because we've won the right attorney, so we were forced to represent ourselves, and he saw that, and that's how he taught us. So you can't say that we aren't seeking legal help, because we have, and we're just completing it.
So I already saw this coming. I literally did. That you guys, whether you guys like to believe this or not, you think you're Mormon, but guess what? You grew up in a very yuppie town with very yuppie politics. You guys are very capitalistic. You are very statistically fraud. You use words like lifestyle choices. Yeah. When that doesn't exist in real life. Free will doesn't work like the way you guys think it does. And we don't care anymore. We just needed to get some evidence, technically speaking, at this point. Just so that we could say that we had good faith, that we tried to explain it as best we could to every person.
We were really nice to our managers and everywhere we went to ask for help before we got a big fat middle finger bureaucratically.
And the only reason why I came to jumping things like fences is because I didn't get any help any other way. And it's now better just to have the court do all my work for me. Now I have the cops investigating themselves. I don't actually have to even lift a finger. Technically, it might even be dropped like my other cases. Some of them have dropped before court. Yeah, before I even put a motion in.
Before he even did any work, it was dropped.
Because they figure out that they picked somebody up illegally. And so I can figure that out. Dave can figure that out. It's really disappointing that we tried to explain to you guys what reasonable and unreasonable theory is. And every single one of these cops, in our actual experience and belief, have very unreasonable people. And they are going to only continue to be able to get away with their unreasonableness at a better rate now, because we have a harder time getting to the help to have them stop doing what they're doing. So technically, I want you to sleep at night knowing that because I didn't get any help for that trespassing case, there might still actually be people being illegally moved along from that location, even though it's not actually trespassing. That's your taxpayer dollars, and that's somebody's life, and that's false imprisonment, and that's secondary kidnapping. And so, yeah, go right ahead. Keep letting that happen.
What about all the other cops harassing the girls and the ladies in the forest? Yeah, I think they need to be fired. Yeah. They're on the same level, and you just...
How about cops just writing tickets in general and having absolutely zero legal recourse for, a cop literally convicted me of being not in a park because juries are retarded as well. They don't believe that judges can make mistakes when I actually caught judicial misconduct. Again, it was a disclosure exhibit violation. So whatever, Dad. It's the same shit. There you go. You can hang up on me now. It's you guys are really just in the same exact boat as everybody else.
You actually are giving the same answers to us by the people that are kidnapping us.
Yeah, we've literally gotten all the exact same answers. You guys are joint and severally, otherwise kidnapping us. That's kind of how I feel at this point. I didn't want to admit it. I tried.
Legal help to conclude it.
Basic legal help.
It would have just been workman's comp or something in the past, but now it's homeless hate crime kidnapping lawsuits for everyone.
And you know what? Regardless of my bite model that you need to give me for whether or not I should citizen arrest someone in a forest, evidently you think it's okay for rangers to do this type of behavior and lie. And so just go ahead and bite model that for the world. That you think it's really okay for officers to literally lie, to move people, your son included. That's your taxpayer dollars at work. Good job, Dad. I hope you... I want you to think really long and hard about how bureaucratically and politically you're not tied to this, and that you have nothing, no race, no dog in this fight or anything like that. And that so that you can go home and just sleep really well tonight. Because that's a pipe dream. There are real problems in this world, Dad. They're not going to solve themselves. I jumped the fence because it was the best, easiest, quickest way to solve some really big problems that have been under-solved because of people like you guys that don't want to have anything to do with the legal system, don't want to do this, who would rather do that, don't want to bite the hand or poke the bear. Guess what, Dad? The only reason why I'm in this boat is because the people that are in power are there specifically because nobody poked them early on. So everything you're teaching me, every little lesson you guys are trying to push, like don't poke the bear, it doesn't work. It's a dark theory. It's not the right theory. We're not those type of people. We don't need to be learning those types of lessons. We're already dealing with other bigger crap at this point.
It's never the right argument.
You never bring the right argument. You guys are stuck down a paradigm. You're seriously mentally ill. And every time that I say that, I know you guys are probably thinking I'm mentally ill too. But guess what? I've done thousands of hours more legal research than you and attorneys at this point on lots of subjects. And it sounds so willy-nilly, but I'm winning my own trials, so I guess I didn't need your help after all. I thought I could get a little break with some deadlines because defending oneself is a lot different than bringing countersuits. Because the countersuits, I got years to deal with it, but bring a bunch of trials at us all at once. We can't. You can't expect anybody to have that kind of time all of a sudden. So that's why I didn't get a job, Dad. I'm defending myself against criminals. So there you have it. Have a good life, guys. You really, really, really proved how incredibly intellectually honest Mormonism is. Because I have a sneaking suspicion that you do it based on that. I have my stats, and we don't deal with any of this outside of the Mormon faith. You guys are in denial. Yeah, obvious denial of fact. You're narcissists. Go look up what narcissism is. Go look up the definition. If you don't even go look it up,
that's the
whole point. We've tried to explain it to you guys before. We actually have had to explain it to other people. I don't even like using that word. I don't even want to, but people are forcing me to start using it because they're very, very intellectually dishonest people. And they think I'm the narcissist. When I've literally made every single decision that I could as a reasonable person. And so far, I've been right. I didn't take that money. I don't deserve to have to pay for it. I wasn't in a park. I'm only 2 people and 5 unrelated, so forth and so on. We're not constructing structures.
We're not attempting to influence.
We're not in private property in the right of way.
We're not trespassing. We're not soliciting.
It's really basic stuff. And we only just happen to be in a system where it happens so fast and there's so many unreasonable people that you guys got statistically frauded with that stat. If it was maybe 1 or 2 and we came to you in a different way, sure, it might have worked. But, it's disappointing shocking that we were actually so successful with our cases that you guys are now using that stat against us. That now we're on quests or some stupid crap. No, random people are bringing random crap against us. And technically, when you say jumping the fence, you guys don't understand it. I am in a right-of-way, and random strangers come about and decide to ticket me. I'm not purposely going and poking a bear here. I'm literally catching retards that no one else knows how to catch. And what are you going to do? I call that civil duty. So that's maybe something you guys will never understand. And to me, the previous 4... or the people that were all ticketed at 460 South College. That's what I'm really trying to stop. I'm trying to stop people from continuing to be illegally moved along there. It technically has nothing to do with me. I'm just trying to report a crime that I thought would be the best way to do it. But no, evidently it's not. And now when I report it in any other way, no one will believe me. And so, technically speaking, I reported it to you, Dad. And since you're on the same side as everyone else, if I can't get in any help, people are going to be all illegally moved along continually at that spot. That's why I jumped it. It is a spot where they've physically started thinking that it's a fact that it's private property. I've audio proof of dispatch fighting me over this. They're extremely mentally ill, intellectually dishonest, and I have it all on tape. That's part of my evidence. I've caught the entire force basically being really, really, really bad at their jobs. So whatever, I thought I could get a little help there, but technically, guys, you do have a dog in this fight because if I don't get this out, then the chances are these people will probably go ahead and continue to steal your money. And so, personally, I think you should have I think you have lots of dogs in this fight. We'll leave it at that. Thanks for listening. I'm sorry for the rant.
Okay. Well, if you do want the gift card, just
Oh my gosh, Dad. Wow. Have a good life, man. I gotta stop talking to you, man. I'm gonna go a healthy route now and just deal with reasonable people. Goodbye.